Welcome to Ignite the CEO Within, the podcast where we dive deep into the minds of top business leaders to ignite your inner CEO. I'm your host, Mark McFatridge, founder of Quaid, and with each episode, we bring you inspiring conversations with CEOs and business owners who share their experiences, insights, and lessons learned along the way. Get ready to be motivated, empowered, and equipped with the tools you need to succeed in your own leadership journey. Let's ignite the CEO within you. Welcome to another episode of Igniting the CEO Within. I'm Mark McFatridge, founder and CEO of Quaid, and I am really looking forward to hanging out with you all today. Today's topic is one that I feel is often overlooked when leaders and companies focus on growth. That is, focusing on the customer to help drive success. Like, if we pay attention to what our clients are telling us, it really opens up to serve them better, number one, but it also helps to attract prospects who fit the same mold. So we are super blessed today to have so many experts in the Quaid community, and our guest today is one of those. I am excited to hang out with Carajane Moore, president of Hunt Big Sales. Carajane, welcome to Igniting the CEO Within.
Hey, Mark, great. Glad to be here. Thanks so much for inviting me. It's good to see you again, too.
Yeah, it's been too long. It's been too long. Hey, so I'm going to give just a real brief overview. Like, Hunt Big Sales is a super high touch sales consulting company. And the work that you do is really with mid-market companies to help them become laser focused on really doing fewer but bigger sales opportunities and ultimately helping them become more efficient in their revenue generation. And I think I can't wait to dig into that because it's so true, right? You can spend the same amount of energy to do $100,000 deal as you can to do a $5 million deal. And if you're going to do that, why not focus on the $5 million deal? So
right.
We'll dive into that, and I'm excited about it. But before we do that, and we focus on the customer driven success stuff, I would love for you to just kind of give us your background of how did you become the president? Is that something you always wanted to do? It was all laid out for you and you just grabbed it and ran with it? Give us your whole background and where this all came from.
Yeah. So it started when I was a little girl. It did kind of start when I was a little girl, but the business is my brother and I and our business partners. And so it's Tom Searcy and I who own and run this business. But we were Irish triplets with my other brother, Tim. And so we all grew up together, and we grew up in the telemarketing industry. And so we've always worked together. So it's a natural feeling that we work together as we become adults. And when we were younger, my mom had to start doing business meetings at home, like 8, 9, 10. We had to build the agendas, and we were in charge of the business meeting and what we're going to be doing as a family for the week, or what we have to change in chores, or whatever the case may be. And so it's one of those things when I said it started when I was a little girl. I'm at 8 or 9 setting up an agenda for a family meeting. Okay, just to give you an idea. And then 10, 11, 12, we're traveling. Each of us got a week to travel with my dad in his route sales around the state of Iowa, which his thing. And so we would map out the little things and take notes on the little 3x5 cards after every meeting and, all the rest of that stuff. So to say that I got here just haphazardly would be not fair to my parents and to what they instilled in us and built in us as a business mindset and how to go run a business and what it took to do that. Even though he was a route salesperson, we all know he worked for a company, but that business was really his, right? And so that's how we saw that, and that's how it came to be. And so being an entrepreneur then became natural to us. And so Tom had taken 4 companies from like less than zero to over 250 million, each of those 4 companies in less than 4 years, through a large account sales process based on the way that had to go. Now, he was the CEO. He wasn't the chief revenue officer. Tim oftentimes was the chief revenue officer of those companies. So the two of them did that. And at the end, he ended up having to work off a non-compete. And so many of his forum people said, hey, could you help us grow that rapidly? And so before he knew it, he had a business. And so he had a business, and needed some assistance. And so I just kind of stepped in and said, hey, let me help out while I'm kind of in between things. And before I knew it, there was a lot going on, and we were growing, and we were taking on staff, and I just needed to have a title. It didn't matter to either of us, but I just had to have a title that allowed me to build the strategic partnerships that we had to have, run the staff, sign the checks, all the rest of that stuff. So that's part of how that came to be. The other part of how that came to be is Tim was a consultant. Tom and I were in the business, and unfortunately, Tom had some medical issues that took him out of the business. Tim took over that role. Tim ended up getting cancer. He left the business. So that just kind of, at this point, threw me into the face of the business instead of behind the scenes, kind of moving all the players on the chessboard. So my journey to be in the front of the business, the front leader of the business, was a thrust upon, but also a blessing. So
that's an amazing story. We have to go back to 8 and 9 years old, and you're setting these. So, okay, I get that your dad was an entrepreneur, within a company, right? And an intrapreneur, I think some people call it.
Yes.
That's cool. Okay. How did your mom get involved? Like, why was your mom so adamant that you need to set these agendas and walk us through and help us schedule and all that kind of stuff? What was her background, or what was her interest in doing that? Or what did you see opportunities?
I think, my mom was always intent on having us become very independent people. And she intuitively was very smart. She could read a room and tell you the politics that were going on in the room without knowing most of the people, because she was just really intuitive in that fashion. And she also knew that if you owned the agenda, you owned the meeting. And so she wanted us to be leaders and to own the rooms that we were in. And so this is how she was teaching us at a young age to own the room that you are in.
Wow, that's cool. Would you share, so working with family is probably both a blessing and a curse, or challenges and opportunities. Talk about that. And especially, you mentioned being Irish triplets. That's funny. But I mean, you guys were super close growing up, obviously, and doing a lot of stuff together. And while that helps in knowing each other and the language that you use and, all that kind of stuff, it probably is not the easiest thing in the world, but it's also really powerful as well.
A lot of people say that it's not the easiest thing in the world, and I suppose it's not. I don't find it to be maybe as challenging as other maybe siblings groups do. So first, let's talk about what Irish triplets are. So a lot of people don't know what Irish triplets are. My brothers are identical twins, and I'm 11 months younger. So we were born in the same year. Okay. So that's why we're called Irish triplets. We're not technically triplets. They're twins, and I'm the third child. But it's a term used as Irish. We are Irish, but it's a term used as Irish triplets because, I guess, of things we don't need to go into today. Anyway, so we're Irish triplets. So we are very close. And we grew up being very close. We also grew up, I don't know how to explain it, but we grew up in an environment where we became each other's best cheerleaders and advocates, even at a very young age, where I went to all my brother's speech and debate, meetings and tournaments and all the rest of that. They came to my diving tournaments. And so we were very, very close relationally in that sense. So when you become in business like we are now, first, we already have a mutual respect for the other. Two, we have a shared language. I know what my brother's thinking before he finishes a sentence. And Tom and Tim had this going on in those companies that they were growing together, where people would leave the meeting going, do you know what they said? I don't know what they said. Because they were able to talk to each other without finishing sentences and finishing words. So there's a shared set of expectations that you don't ever have to talk about. There's a shared set of design or alignment that doesn't have to be developed over years because it's been developed, right? So there's a shorthand that makes a lot of this smoother, and just the recognition of what's my lane and what's his lane. We spend a lot of time being intentional about that so that we didn't cross lanes and that we didn't confuse those who work for us. So it's been a true blessing. He's a brilliant visionary, writer, thinker, conscious, competent is a term we use, versus a lot of people who become unconsciously competent. They're really good at what they do, but they have a hard time telling other people what they're doing that allows them to learn from it. And so we have just a huge respect for each other. And when we talk, we process out loud. So it looks like we're arguing, but we're not. We're both thinking against each other's ideas to process them. And so that makes the team a little nervous.
Yeah, I bet. So again, so that's all great. I think sometimes there could be I don't know, it could be harder if you're always relying on each other as well. Did you have outside mentors that helped you progress over time too?
Yeah, 100%. We strongly believe in the best always need a coach, right? So we've had a variety of coaches. Tom has had his own set of coaches. I've had my own set of coaches, and then we've had coaches together. So, for example, we went through Dan Sullivan's strategic coach. I went through it by myself. Then I brought Tom in. We went through it together. Tom was in YPO in the forum and had that group of people that he worked with. Then we've hired a couple of other coaches along the way. So that we are always working with people, because you can get a group think and you need somebody to test that. And we're very strong personalities. So it's hard for employees to come in and test against someone. And we recognize that, not because we're not trying to listen to them, but we need somebody real strong to fight against us. And if they're an employee, it's really hard. The dynamic is difficult.
Well, yeah. Keep going on that, because it does take a special person to come in and work in a family business. How are you able to gauge that? How do you set them up for success when you bring on somebody that's not part of the family into your organization, and really set expectations and empower them to have that pushback?
Well, I will tell you that, first of all, we made a lot of messes, like leaders do, right?
Yeah.
We made a lot of messes. First, we had to learn that some of our thinking out loud in front of the kids is not helpful, right? So we had to learn how to do a lot of that offline so that we could give clear direction online, right? We also had to learn how to stay in our lanes and how to have that conversation clearly. And we had to learn to allow people to say, for example, scope creep, for those of us who are in consulting, understand that it's a big part of consulting. And so the account manager has to come and say to the other, we have scope creep on that account. You might want to talk to them, right? And so we had to allow them to have the freedom to do that without getting in trouble, to keep us all in check, because you always need a check, right? And so we made some messes. We burned through some people as we tried to learn that. And that was never intentional, but that was the reality of how we had to learn some of those pieces. They weren't a problem for us, but it made a very stressful environment for others.
Yeah.
And we had to understand that.
I like to call that paying tuition.
Oh, we've paid a lot of tuition, not just in that area. Can we talk about technology?
Right. No, I 1,000%. But again, I think that's also a thing that separates entrepreneurs from other people, right? Is you understand that you don't want to, right? We'd rather not pay tuition. We'd rather not make messes. We'd rather everything go swimmingly from day one. But we know that that's not going to happen, and it's how you react to that and what you take from it and where you go with it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, we can't kid ourselves. If you're an entrepreneur, you're a risk taker. If you're not a risk taker, it's going to be really hard for you to be an entrepreneur. You have to take risks. You have to place bets, and you're not going to win them all. And that's just part of what you have to know going in. And to your point, then how do we recover, right? And Tom jokes about the fact that you just have to outrun your mistakes. That's the reality.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. I may borrow that. I'll give credit, but I may borrow that.
Perfect.
That's awesome. So I want to flip into kind of our topic of the day, and you had a post recently on LinkedIn, and it went something like this: the biggest missed opportunities don't come from bad messaging; they come from never asking the right questions post deal. Clients will tell you exactly how to win more business if you give them the forum to do it. And man, that really resonated with me. And I believe it 100%. And I think one of the things as leaders that we create a culture sometimes of focusing on closing the deal and moving to the next one, right? It's, we measure closed business. We report it. We cheer it. It's awesome. We put the logos up on the board and say, we nailed that. That's great. And then all of a sudden, what they're not reporting is a lot of it's running out the back door because we're not providing them great service. We're not asking them questions. We're not doing all this kind of stuff. And I think, we start to talk about quite a bit is if you start overlooking your existing client base, you are missing opportunities to expand relationships. You're missing opportunities, in your words, to close and win more business. So, talk about that? Talk about that post, and then kind of share at Hump Big Sales how you guys are embracing that and really showing people how to take advantage of those opportunities. We'll dive back into the conversation in just a moment. But first, a quick word from one of our strategic partners, Ice Miller. For more than a century, Ice Miller has helped clients navigate the full range of legal and business issues they face. Whether it be in the boardroom or the courtroom, our lawyers have evolved with the marketplace, providing sound counsel when you need it the most. Though our Midwest roots run deep, we serve clients from coast to coast and bring to bear international capabilities and insights. As a cohesive team, Ice Miller stands ready to provide cutting-edge legal solutions tailored to you. Learn more at icemiller.com.
Yeah. So, well, first, one of the things I want to say is, we close more deals and we get excited and we go on to the next one. One of the things, the first book that Tom wrote, which is a bestseller, is Whale Hunting: How to Land Big Sales and Transform Your Company. And that goes back to the Inuit story about they would go hunt whales. And when you landed a whale, it fed the village for a year. Okay. But it was a sacred act to hunt whales. And so we had to celebrate the whale when we landed the whale. And that's part of the culture of what we include in our training and how we act. We celebrate the account. We partner with them in a variety of ways to demonstrate our celebration, in addition to, sending them a gift and, doing a variety of things. But so we have to recognize that you have to celebrate the whale. So that's first just part of the culture of who we are. But then the second thing is why people buy from you the first time is entirely different than why they buy again.
Sure.
And most people try to sell the ongoing engagement as if they sold the first engagement. And why they buy again is different than why they buy the first time. And so part of what we are always doing is understanding, why did they buy the first time? Is our messaging in the marketplace still resonating? Did they buy because of what I think? Well, gosh, I could always get that wrong. I have to ask them, what was it about our conversation that had you buy from us, right? So we have to understand, why are they buying? Because we want to make sure what is continuing to resonate in the marketplace now. And that's how you attract more opportunities, right? And then when we go to solve the next problem for them, we have to understand, why do they want us, not just anybody, us, to solve that next problem? And so it's that ongoing continuation. Now, I have the benefit as president to be in all of the quarterly meetings with clients. So how do I stay engaged? Give me an opportunity to talk to them, ask some of these questions outside of my consultants that are working with them or my account managers that are working with them. So in the quarterly meetings or in the clients that I work with directly, these are questions that I do ask, and I ask on a regular basis. I find that many times when I work with clients, there's an assumption we know, which is why we don't ask. And so then you don't have their words. And the problem is, unless your words resonate with their words, they can't align with you. And so I think what happens is, why do people not do it, is because they assume they know.
That's okay. That's awesome. So is it as simple as just asking a question, or do you put some framework in place where those conversations are, or the words are recorded in some fashion and they're shared throughout? What does that look like?
So it's a great question. Almost all of my calls are recorded. And in today's world, they're recorded, they're transcript, they're cut up into posts, they're,
Right,
they're
right,
placed in
right.
multiple different places, right?
Yep.
So, in some way, yes, that's how that's done. We actively, after events and engagements and etc., we have a program where we actively ask for a testimonial on every single account. And in that process of asking for a testimonial or trying to create a case study, in some cases we can get a clean one. In some cases, it's complex, and so it's a little hard
Sure.
to make a clean case study. But we get a testimonial, and that's where we gather the rest of the information, and that information is then stored inside of our system, so that we can go back to it and see where messaging has changed over time.
That's interesting. And then who is involved? And I'm sure it varies from company to company, but generally, who is involved in reviewing that information and that feedback? Is that, I mean, do you put it on a specific cadence that every quarter we're going to pull these things out and look at the transcripts and just go, oh my God, yeah, we really screwed that up here, or we need to focus more over here, or let's use this language instead of that language going forward? What? And is there a specific cadence, or what does that look like?
I wish
Yeah.
I could say, hey, we got this all figured out, and it goes just
Yeah.
like this. No. What happens really for the most part is, I might pull it out. I might ask somebody in the we have marketing agencies or whatever to go do a third party questionnaire to complete. But our case study questionnaire is pretty standard, so somebody can complete the questionnaire and get a testimonial. And then I or the consultant might review the case study just to make sure it's right. But if I'm reviewing it, if I catch things that are different, then I raise the red flag. Hey, this sounds different than the way we've said it in the past. Let's go look and see if there's other ones, right? So I will tell you, it would be great if it was on a standard schedule. If we are in new business losing at a rate greater than what we're used to, we go back and check, did we change messaging? Did we change the process? Did we change what has shifted that's shifting our close rate? That we do.
Yeah. No, that's great. It also, for me, it also seems like an incredible opportunity for the sales teams and the product development teams to work together to continue to add specific products or improve specific products or add bells and whistles or something along those lines is to me, that would be a pretty core component and usefulness of gathering that feedback as well.
Well, when we're going to do new products, that's exactly what we do. We actually take it back to customers or who might be the ideal customer for that product. Maybe they have never bought from us before, but we've talked to them in the past. They're on a pipeline somewhere, and we've talked to them in the past about things, and we better understand what they said. If we're testing a product, like right now, we're in the process of testing a product. So we're actually picking up the phone, calling old prospects from pipelines of things we never closed that this would have better served them, and saying, hey, thanks for taking my call. We're doing some just market tests to see if this is something that would be valuable based on our conversation. I thought you might be a perfect person to provide feedback. I'm not asking to sell it. I just want feedback. And so we do that for all of our product launches. We go out into the marketplace. We talk to current customers if it fits them, or past prospects, whatever, to try to understand what resonates, what's necessary. And we're in the middle of doing that right now for a product. And one of the things that we kept hearing was something we didn't have in the product. And so we're adding that to the product because it is what resonates in the marketplace. Multiple people are saying something that says, I need this. And so that's what's going to make a big difference in that product.
Yeah, for sure. And at this day and age, everybody's those needs are changing almost, really, really quickly anymore, it seems like.
Exactly. Needs are changing. How the needs are being described are changing. We started with, we're a growth company. We help companies grow, right? Well, everybody wants to grow, but they don't all want to grow the same way. Some want to grow through mergers and acquisitions. Some want to grow through marketing, right? So that isn't a clean enough message anymore. Years ago, it was. Now the message is, I want to scale. Scale is the big word, right?
Sure.
So we talk about, for small to mid-sized businesses, you have to have a process in sales that is consistent and replicable, that can scale to scale you, right? So that language is more language that we use now than growth. Scale is what people are looking to do, because to compete in this marketplace, you have to generate and become of a size that is a viable size to realistically to compete.
So I'm a mid-sized company, and I realize I need help, and we call Hunt Big Sales. How do you know that they're the right company to work with you, right? Because I think, well, I'll leave it at that. But my assumption is not everybody's right for you.
No, not everybody's right. Even if they're the right size. And that's one of the things as we work with clients to find your not new thing, but what people actually are using right now is an ideal client profile, an ICP. You don't have just one. That's the part that many companies don't get, is you don't have just one ICP. Large account ICPs are entirely different than a standard ICP. And so it's important that people are able to separate those. So for us, we teach people a filter where I can eliminate most of the marketplace, and I only really serve about a 10% of the total available market at any one given time. And timing is an element of ICP as well. But I have 11 sets of characteristics. What's the size of the organization? Is it business to business? Is it privately owned? What is the problem they solve? What's the size of their largest deal? What's the size of their average deal? How is their sales structure set up? I mean, I have 11 characteristics that we go through to determine, would they be ideal at being successful? Could they buy me? Yes. Would they be successful? No. And there's a variety of things. And some of the reasons why people would not be successful is because they believe all sales are done at a sales rep level. Large account sales is not. It's a team. So they don't want to have a team. They don't believe a team is necessary. And so this isn't going to work there, right? Because we're going to put it all the way down to the salesperson, and this system won't work in that environment. That's an example.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Sometimes sales can have this negative connotation, right? Like, oh, that's a salesperson, right?
Right.
But in reality, we are all salespeople, right? At some level in our lives today, we are all salespeople. Whether you're selling ideas to boards of directors or to your boss or whatever, or you're even selling your family on where to go eat for dinner, right? I mean, we're all. If you had one or two like sales techniques, and maybe that's a horrible idea, but if there are a couple of core sales processes that you have that everybody can use in their day-to-day life, are there a couple of things that stand out that if you do X, you're going to be more successful in getting your message across?
Yeah, there's a couple of things I want to throw out there. First, focus on the outcomes. Don't focus on the solution. Don't focus on the service. Don't focus on the product. Executive buyers buy outcomes. They want that problem off their table. They pay for the outcome. They don't pay for the solution. Everybody talks about solution selling. Well, that's the specific how you get it done. The outcome is what they're paying for. Well, I'm going to take your family out, go out to dinner. Where are we going to go to dinner? The outcome is the dinner, okay? Where we go eat is an element of that. So if you focus on the outcome of dinner, okay, then the other thing I would say is it's not about you. All of my clients start with me. We want this. It's not about you. Zig Ziglar, you can have everything you want in life if you help enough other people get what they want. Help your family get what they want, right? And you will then get everything you want. You want a happy, fun dinner, and that's most important. You might want pizza. Well, what are the elements of pizza? Can I get that somewhere else? And it's not pizza, but it's cheese.
Yeah.
Focus on the outcome. Focus on helping people get what they want. And those two things are not about sales.
I love it. Yep. No, yes, that's amazing. So I know what I'm doing for dinner tonight. So that's really cool. Carajane, this has been a ton of fun. I can't believe we're already bumping up to our time limit together, but, I appreciate you sharing so many nuggets and all this kind of stuff. But before I let you go, one of the questions that we have asked all of our guests on Igniting the CEO Within is I ask them for their I believe statement. So if I look at you and I say, Carajane, what do you believe?
So we were joking a little earlier because I'm like, well, the first thing I believe is I believe in Jesus Christ. It's my Savior, Lord. So I believe that. But if we're thinking about in the realm of our conversation this morning, what I believe is that entrepreneurial people, the CEO, entrepreneurials, people and organizations are the change driver of this world. And I believe that they are the ones that can make the change. And so with that, my belief is if I can help level the playing field against the big players in the marketplace for those bigger pieces of business, I can significantly change the world. And so that's what I believe.
Oh man, that's really powerful, and you and I are really aligned on that. I think it's putting yourself out there. It's understanding what that even looks like, right? Changing the world, and how, and what role you could play into it. It's helping others understand their role in helping do that, and then providing them the opportunities and the to be in that situation. Yes, that's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. I love the igniting the CEO within. Part of our statement is reigniting the passion in the business because, we all have to admit that, like I said, it's risky. And so it's hard. And there are days that it's hard and it's a grind. I will tell you from all of my experience and my clients' experiences, you go land a very large account, woo, you get excited.
Yeah.
You're excited about what you're doing. You're excited about the growth that you've provided. You've excited about the solution that you created that's now new and you can make more of it. And you can then have your employees have great lives, right? So the igniting of passion or igniting the CEO within are I think also aligned very well.
Yeah, no doubt. And, I don't know that I've ever even talked about why we titled it this, but, it is my belief that everybody has a CEO within them, and they don't have to lead a company, but they could lead their family, they could lead their friend group, they could lead whatever. But that perspective is there within all of us, and we overlook it a lot. We don't have the confidence to do that. And my whole purpose for starting Igniting the CEO Within, and specifically starting the framework of how we ask these questions and to ask our guests to share their background of how do they get to that. We all start all the paths have been different, right? I mean, you're making agendas at 8, 9 years old. There are others that, never even thought about it. And all of a sudden they just got, ticked off at their boss and they're like, screw it, I'm going to start my own company. Right. They're just, some have never gone to college. They were high school dropouts, but they did X and they did. To me, there is no one path to becoming an entrepreneur. There's no one path to becoming a CEO. And that's why we named the podcast Igniting the CEO Within, because it's in all of us. We just have to figure it out if we want.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think we're all given a passion and we're all given an expertise, but you and I would say that the world today wants to squash all of that. Yeah. And so it's the fight against the pressures of the real world.
Man, this has been a blast. Thank you so much for joining us. Folks, that's a wrap. We've discovered another leadership journey. So as you're raising your kids, have them start putting agendas together for your family meetings each week. I think that is awesome. But again, like I said, my hope is that somebody out there is going to hear one of these paths and go, that's me. I can do this. And they take on that challenge. So until next time, I'm Mark McFatridge. Thanks for joining us on Igniting the CEO Within. Thank you for joining today's conversation. If our discussion has sparked your interest in our community of unapologetically authentic leaders, head on over to QuaidCircle.com, where you can learn more about Quaid and take our exclusive CEO Mindset Assessment to help elevate your leadership journey. Remember to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform and leave a review to help us continue delivering valuable insights and inspiring stories from top business leaders.